Every question on the FE Electrical and Computer exam and the PE Power exam is worth 1 point. But are you accidentally leaving easy points on the table because you're getting stuck on a killer question? Whether you're dealing with questions that are your strength or weaknesses. So we need to be a little bit mindful as to how we manage our time on the FE exam and the PE exam. We need to have a game plan to sort these questions and solve the questions in order of difficulty, not in the order that they're presented to us on the exam. This approach is going to ensure that you tackle the easy questions in batches, guaranteeing you a strong confidence boost early in the exam. So let us systematically analyze how we can manage the time efficiently on the exam, both FE Electrical and PE Power, and stack the odds in our favor so that you are able to give your best shot on the exam and don't leave any points on the table. So let us assume that you are taking the morning session for the FE Electrical and Computer exam. Roughly half of the 110 questions are going to appear in the morning and the remaining will appear in the afternoon session. If you look at the NCEES sample exam, the flow of these questions is in the same order as the exam specification. So the first few questions are going to be from mathematics, then probability, stats, ethics, engineering economics, and so on. So as you get started with the exam and you start working through the questions, you can take the approach of flagging the easy questions first. So imagine that you're giving every question 10 seconds and then essentially rating it. So the questions that scream at you that I'm super easy, solve me right away, you can keep on flagging those questions. And by the time you're done with this exercise, and you can then sequentially work through the flagged questions. With this approach, what you've done basically is that you have categorized the flagged questions as easy questions and the non-flagged questions as the more difficult or the medium questions. So as you answer each one of these questions, you can remove the flags so that you know that you've actually answered them, and you have also selected an option, so that also tells you that these questions have been solved already. You can go through another round with the unsolved, unanswered questions and start flagging the ones in the second round that are the second easiest. And maybe repeat this process 3 times. By taking this approach, although there is an overhead that you are reviewing the questions, sort of rating them very quickly in your mind, but what it does is that it helps you deal with the easy questions in batches. So in round number 1, you've dealt with the easiest ones. In round number 2, you have dealt with maybe the medium difficulty level ones. And the ones that are left at the end are super difficult, maybe out of your league. And the way you go about it is that you simply select based on your educated guess, you use method of elimination. Whatever the approach you use, just don't leave any question unanswered. Another approach that students use with flags is that in the round 1 of their review, when they're going through the questions quickly, they flag the most difficult questions. It's basically an inverted approach of what we just discussed. Rather than flagging the easiest questions, you go about flagging the most difficult questions. And then you work through the questions that are non-flagged and try and solve them. And essentially repeat the whole process once you've answered a bunch of questions, then apply the same algorithm on the remaining questions that are still unanswered. And the third approach is not to use flags at all. This is an approach that I don't recommend because the flag feature is very helpful. Since this is a computer-based exam, you cannot sort of circle or mark different questions as easy or difficult, which you would have been able to do if the exam was paper-based. You could have done that easily. But flags are the closest things to categorizing different questions. There will be some questions that you'll be able to answer easily. There'll be some that are going to push you to your limits, and there'll be some that will be completely out of your league. And what's happening with this approach, the sequential approach, the approach in which you're not using the flags, is that you're continuously bouncing between solving the questions, getting stuck at the questions, getting frustrated, self-doubting, and then solving another question, having a high confidence, a low confidence. So it's sort of a roller coaster ride. But once you've categorized them appropriately, you know that this bucket of questions that I'm going to work through are actually relatively easy. And the next round of flags that I'm going to apply, it's going to be the next easiest set of questions, and so on. So the questions that you're solving from the get-go are always within your reach. And the ones that you leave at the tail end, you know that these are already difficult questions and you have dealt with the easy ones. So you already have scored some points, and that will boost your confidence and make it more likely for you to actually deal with the questions that are a little bit more challenging. So in summary, I strongly recommend you to use flags as a means, as a way of categorizing questions into easy, medium, and difficult, both on the FE Electrical and the PE Power exam. In my online FE Electrical and Computer, as well as the PE Power exam preparation course, I have detailed lectures that explain you theoretical concepts quizzes with detailed solutions, and mini exams and computer simulated practice exams that help you get more familiar with the computer-based format of the actual exams. By going through these computer simulated practice exams, you're going to become very comfortable with the interface. You don't need to set a clock separately. The clock will be staring at you while you're taking these mini exams or practice exams, and the CBT format will become second nature to you. The correct use of flags and becoming more familiar with the CBT format is also going to help you save time, especially on the FE electrical and computer exam, as I mentioned earlier, which is 3 minutes per questions. So getting better with the interface, knowing how to use your calculator, knowing where the equations are in the reference handbook, all of these small tips and tricks will help you deal with these questions much more efficiently. If you're new to this channel, please consider subscribing. On a weekly basis, I'm creating content for FE electrical and PE power exam preparation. I also discuss topics related to electrical engineering with a focus on power systems engineering. If you'd like to learn more about my FE electrical and PE power exam preparation programs, please visit my website, StudyforFE.com.